start with the questions, Bhikkhuni?
Yeah. You start with the question.
Right. The first question is, last time we listened to a poem written by a listener, and the line seeking happiness in the wrong places struck a chord in me. Can you please tell us what are the right places to seek happiness in?
Oh, very good question. Right place is always the right place. It is santushta culture, santutti. That is being satisfied with whatever you get. That is always you are happy. Every time you are happy because you are happy whether you get less or whether you get more. Rather than සතුටුවීම කියලා තමයි කියන්නේ. So that there is never an unhappy moment. When you are sitting, you are happy. When you are standing, you are happy. When you are eating, you are happy. When you are lying down, you are happy. When you are talking, you are talking happy because your speech is so good, free from falsehood, musavada, pishanavada, parusavada, sampapadata. Your speech is refined speech. So when you are speaking, you are happy. When you are listening, you are happy. So the right place is there all the time. Wrong place is when you look for things with tanna and go after them and expect things from the outside world. Whereas here, you are satisfied with whatever you get. If it is small, you are satisfied. If it is big, you are satisfied. If you are having good food, you are satisfied. If you are having just one or two, and then also you are satisfied. It is a satisfaction that is called happiness in the right place. Okay?
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Bhikkhuni. The next question is, Venerable Bhikkhuni, can you please explain the following? When one is practicing the Anapana, is it good to examine the 5 elements in the breath? If so, what is the method to become aware of the elements in the breath?
Actually, the Buddha has said so much about the 5 elements and the breath. Actually, that is called Rahulovada Sutra. So Rahula was a little small, say 7 years or 10 years or something like that. So he said, this breath, see the Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu and space. Patavi is the hardness. You feel the air in the breath striking the nostrils. If not, you won't feel that the air is passing through. So that striking is called the Patavi, because that's the hardness that you feel. Apo is that if you go and breathe in front of the mirror, you find droplets of water. So there is moisture in the air. That is Apo. Tejo is, you will see that the incoming breath is cool, outgoing breath is warm. So there is heat in the air that you breathe out. That's the body heat that goes out. So the incoming air is cool, outgoing air is hot. So you can see the heat. So you get Patavi, Apo, Tejo. The Vayu is the air that is moving up and down, in and out. Space, there is space. Because if there is no space, the air won't enter the lungs. Because there is space in the lungs and in the respiratory tract, there is space. So air can move easily in and out. If it is blocked, then you can't breathe in or out. So there is space always. So this Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu can be seen in every movement, everywhere it is there. So the Buddha said to little Rahula, so your body also has Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu. Look at your body. There is hardness. The teeth are hard. The body, the bones, that is Patavi. Apo, there is water in the system, so much percentage water. Tejo is when you feel to the touch also, there is heat. The oxidation of carbohydrate produces heat. So, Tejo and Vayu, there is air inside the thoracic cavity and air inside the abdominal cavity and air between the bones. If there's no air, there is space, and air is not, you can't move your hands. So the Buddha said, your whole body is, not only the breath, the entire body is Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu. Then he said, how does Patavi behave? Patavi is hardness, Prithvi. Prithvi is the hardness of the body. So, then look at the hardness. The Patavi doesn't care whether you, for instance, whether you spit or trample or urinate, or Patavi doesn't care how good you are or how bad you are. Patavi doesn't care. So you also behave because your body is Patavi. So behave as Patavi does. Patavi doesn't take offense if you treat badly. So behave as as your body is Patavi. So if people say good things also, you don't care. If they say bad things also, you don't care. You are not upset by anything of the outside world. Patavi has hardness that it can understand, it can tolerate anything. Apo is the water element. Water is always flowing. It has no shape, so there is a water element. Behave like the water. The water doesn't care whether it has to wash all the dirty lavatories or all the dirty things. The water doesn't care. Or if you have to consecrate the king's head with water doesn't care. So for water, it is just the same. So behave like water. If your body is so much percentage of water, so now you behave like water does. If it is the worst thing, the water doesn't say, I don't want to wash it. Water will wash it. Then if it is the best thing also, yes, the water won't say no. So you just accept as it comes. So behave like water, like liquid that is in the system. Because your body is water. So much percentage water. Then Patavi, hardness, Apo is the watery element. Tejo is the heat. Your body has heat. Now the body doesn't, the heat has a way. It doesn't care whether it burns down everything or it doesn't burn down anything. It can burn all the best files also, or it will burn the houses and properties also. That is the way with heat. He doesn't care about what the consequences are. So the heat has a property, and if the way of the heat is, it is life-giving. If there is no heat, you die of the frozen. You will die frozen. But it gives you life, but also it can damage you. So we have to be like the heat. So So be careful how you the body is heat. There is heat all over the body. So behave as the heat does. So the heat doesn't say, I don't want to burn that. It doesn't say, I want to burn that. It has no liking or disliking. The object of it is burning. So you just don't worry about what is the element of heat. So heat can be life-giving and it can be destructive, just like water. Water also can be life-giving, but water can be destructive. And then butter is also like that. Then apo, teja, vayu. Then the air. What is the function of air? Yeah, it is flowing through. It doesn't care whether it flows through the worst territory or the best territory. It has no life of its own. So, just like that, you have to behave as if you have no life and ownership of your own. You just move with the circumstance. So, if it is bad also, you take it. If it is good also, you take it. You have no special favor for anything. You don't look for good things in life, neither do you reject bad things in life. How you can be equanimous and live like the Patariya Teja Vaya. The Patariya Teja Vaya, you can see it in your own body, you can see it in your breath, and you can see it everywhere. The hardness is Patari, the watery element is Apo, then the heat element is Teja. Without Teja you can't live, without the heat. And Vayu is the air element. So these things are there composing your body. The body matter is composed of these four elements and space. So when you contemplate on the five elements, you know that the air in your body is the same as the air outside. The heat in the body is the same as the heat outside. Then the water in the body is the same as the water inside, outside. And the air in the body is the same as the air outside. So you can't say it is my water, because then if you say it's my water, then the river water also should be mine. So nothing is mine. You can't say my air, because the air is directly coming from the outside. So if you say the my air, then the air outside is also should be my air. If you say my pottery, then my hardness, this is not my hardness. It is the same as the hardness outside. We have eaten so much of hard food, and all the elements have got stuck in our body, and hardness is the result. There are bones and teeth, and to the touch it is hard. It has all come from the food that you eat, the hardness. So all these elements must be seen in your own body, and we have to know, if this hardness in my body is me, then the hardness outside in the earth is also me. Can never be. If the water in my body is me, then the water in the river is also me. If the heat in my body is me and mine, then the heat outside in the sun is also me and mine. So like that you can rationalize. If the air in my body is me, I and mine, then the air outside is also me. None of it is logical or truthful. None of it belongs. So the body doesn't belong. Neither does the outside belong. So you come to the idea that nothing belongs. There is no ownership of any description. The body does not belong. The body belongs to the elements outside from where we have extracted heat again and again, extracted air again and again, hardness by way of eating food and all that, and then air by breathing in all the time. So none of it can be the elements in my body, not even in the air, can be called me, I, and mine, because they are the same as the outside element. So therefore, we can't be thinking that I am special. I'm also one of those just outside. Anybody else also has the same elements. We also acquire from the environment. So like that, when you rationalize and intelligently think of it, you know that nothing of it, the body, not a single atom belongs to you. So the me, I, and mine can be easily got rid of. Okay?
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Bhikkhuni. I'll move on to the next question, which is kind of linked to that. Can a lay person get rid of the identity view and become sothapanna, and how?
Yeah, for lay person, just because you wear robes, that doesn't mean that he has no defilement. This is a question of defilement. Whether you are a lay person or whether you are ordained and wearing robes, still the defilements are the problem. So, if as a lay person you can get rid of defilement, then it's the same. He can become sothapanna. The Buddha has 4 kinds of disciples. Bhikkhu, Bhikkhuni, Upasaka, Upasika. Bhikkhu and Bhikkhuni are ordained disciples. Upasaka, Upasika are unordained, living household lives and living as ordinary human beings. They all have defilements. So any one of them can get rid of their defilements if they follow the path. So the idea is whether you are ordained or whether you are lay person, to follow the path that the Buddha said. That's the noble eightfold path. So if you follow the path, whether you are monk or lay person, you can get magga phala. The path is the magga, phala is the fruit. So magga phala is sotapatti magga, sotapatti phala. So it doesn't matter whether you are ordained or lay. Anybody can get it. So therefore, it is a question of getting rid of defilements and a question of adhering to the path, the eightfold path. You have to have right view, nothing belongs. Me, I, and mine is a conventional reality. It is not an absolute reality. People have made so many ways to acquire and legal conventions and the locks and doors and all kinds of security measures to maintain your ownership. If not, there is no ownership. If you have no identity, you have no ownership. If you have no registration, you have no ownership. So, all those things are conventional. People have made it. They are not absolute truths. So when you understand that, you have samma ditti, the right view. Then samma sankappa is right thinking, free from anger and hatred. The right speech is you have to practice in daily life. Musavada, Pishnavada, Parusavada, Sampa. Not to speak falsehood, not to slander, not to speak harsh, rude words, not to speak frivolous words, but to speak mild speech, truthful speech. It doesn't harm anybody. So That is Samma Vacha. And Samma Kammanta is working with your hands and feet for your own benefit and benefit of others without being lazy and insolent and then wasting your time and sleeping and worrying and just be unmindful, keeping mindfulness, living in the present moment. That is right action. Doing things what is necessary, not doing things that are not necessary. So that's finding happiness in everything you do for yourself and for others. Then finding satisfaction in everything you do. That is Samma Kammanta. Samma Ajivai. Your profession is very good. You don't hurt and kill people. You support life. You earn by good means, not by killing and stealing and sexual misconduct. You earn your life by your salary or your profession is good. It is benign and helpful to others. So you may be a doctor, you may be a teacher. It's always happiness, giving happiness to others and earning your money in a righteous way. So Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva, Samma Vayama is the effort you need to keep up with the practice. So Samma Vayama, Samma Sati, having mindfulness of the present, not thinking of the past, not thinking of the future, just living in the moment, being happy. I have got this, I'm happy. I have got a good bed to sleep, I'm happy. I have got some food to eat, I'm happy. Whatever I have, I'm happy. So that all the time you are in mindfulness and happiness. That is Samma Sati. Samma Samadhi comes with Vipassana Samadhi. That is the sothapanna sati. When you live according to the Kaya Anapana or Vedana Anapana, that is, you watch your body movements, you watch your feelings, Vedana, you watch your mind state, Chitta Anapana, and Dhammacakkapavatthana, whatever comes into your memory, from your memory and all, then also you are very watchful of your mind. So the Buddha says, Mano Pubbangama, that is the mind is foremost. It is a question of looking at the mind and understanding what am I thinking. It is of any use to me or to others. Useless thinking. Don't think of the past. Past is dead and gone. It will never come back again. Future has not yet come. Don't worry about it. We don't know what is in store for us. So, living in the present in mindfulness is this eightfold path that the Buddha recommended. That takes you straight to Magga in this very life. Whether you are a lay person or whether you are ordained, you just have to follow the path. Okay?
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Bhikkhuni. The next question is, again, somewhat related. Please explain the difference between Sammaditthi and Mithya and how these have effects on our daily and spiritual life.
So, Sammaditthi is right view. Mithya-ditti is wrong view. A lot of people have wrong views. Some say when you die, everything is over. That is a Mithya-ditti because When you die, you are reborn, unless you are an arahant. Some people say there is eternal happiness and the God is the creator and you can be one with the God, and they look for eternal happiness. That is mithya-ditthi, because there is no creation and nothing eternal. Everything is anicca. When you understand that everything is passing away, they arise and pass away, then you understand there is nothing that can be eternal. Not even the sun, moon and stars are eternal. Not even anything is eternal. Because the causes and conditions are there, they appear to be in place. If the causes are not there, then they break down and then they disappear. So it happens to your own body, to other people's bodies. It happens to the house and home and everything. So these things are always changing. If you see that everything arises and passes away, that is seeing anicca. Nothing is permanent. Those are all wrong views that people have. They think they can make permanent by making the conditions right. But when the conditions break down, the whole thing disintegrates. So because of causes and conditions that they appear to be stable. Even the sun, moon and stars appear to be stable because of the causes and conditions. There are so many attractions and repulsions that neutralize each other and then they appear to be static. But they are not static. They have to rotate, they have to circulate, and then only they can appear to be static. So everything is changing is one of the best things to remember. Okay, that is the right view. Wrong view is to understand me, I am mine, these things belong there. Because the legal system says it is mine. I also say it is mine. But actually, the absolute truth is nothing is mine. So these things, when you see and analyze, you see the absolute truth and the conventional truth. So the absolute truth is right view. Conventional truth is wrong view. In the sense that convention is good for worldly affairs, but not for the absolute understanding of all phenomena. That is only the worldly truth. It is not the absolute truth. So, wrong view will be conventional truth. Right view will be absolute truth. So you have to see it all the time. But conventional truth is also necessary for life and living. But at the same time, you have to know this conventional truth is man-made. So it doesn't hold water, but the absolute truth is that nothing belongs, not even the body. Not even. So the Buddha brought this high philosophy to the world. So that is what you can understand by right view and wrong view. Sammaditthi and mithya-ditthi. Ditthi is a view, drushti. It's a view. Okay.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Bhikkhuni. I'll move on to the next question. When we try to understand about human and animal life and death, should we only think in terms of this earth, or is it useful to think in terms of the entire universe?
Of course, you have to see the reality. You will have to see that the entire universe is suffering. You have to see the entire universe is prone to death. That the entire universe is prone to birth, death, pain and suffering. Getting what they don't want is suffering. Not getting what they want is suffering. Separation from loved ones is suffering. Associating the unloved is suffering. So it is a universal truth that you have to see. Not any particular truth to anyone. It's a universal truth. So when you see the universal truth, you don't worry about yourself. It's the same for you, and everybody. So you can rest and relax. This is nothing peculiar to me. When any disaster happens to me, then you have to think, why the others are also having disaster. They are worse disaster. So it is by me, not only me. And any good also the same. Not only me, everybody also has something or other to be happy about. So it's a universal truth. You have to see the whole thing. Okay, that's right.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Bhikkhuni. I have one more question. Is there a difference between asawa and keles? Can you please explain with an example?
Also, literally means prahanama. That is, what do you call that? In toddy and all that, you have the, what do you call that? You
Is it
put a little bit of milk. Huh?
ripening?
Fermenting, huh?
Fermenting.
Fermenting. Oh. So that is asawa is a fermenting and producing all kinds of, and so keles is also outcome of that fermenting. So all the time we are generating this asawa, and then it ends up as keles. Keles is what becomes visible. Asawa you don't see, that it's a fermenting process that gives rise to keles. Keles is defilements arise due to our asava. So asava is our inborn desire for life, inborn desire for happiness. Those are always fermenting in our minds, giving rise to defilements. I want this, I don't want this. Then that kind of thing happens. So anger, greed, hatred, and anger are the defilements. They are the outcome of asava, that is fermenting in your mind all the time, asking for this, asking for that. That is asava. Okay?
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Bhikkhuni. That's all. I have only those questions for today. Do you have something for us?
Yeah, I thought somebody asked me last time for the Dhammacakkapavatthana sutta.
Yes.
So I have made a brief summary. Can I read that out? What is the time? I don't have a time in my room.
It's just
How
a
much
little
more
past.
time?
We have a lot of time, Bhikkhuni. It's just about 5 past 10. So we have about 20.
So we have 20 minutes.
Yes.
I'll try to read it out to you. Maybe this is the first sermon of the Buddha given to the 5 ascetics at the deer park. So there's a little story there. When the Buddha was a bodhisattva, years ago, he was a bodhisattva, but he had the power to die and get. He was an ascetic living in the jungle. He had jhanic powers, so he could get a rebirth in Brahma world, but he sees some deer here and there, and he said, no, I don't want to go to Brahma world. I want to be born into this deer families. So he dies and then he becomes a golden deer. Now he is able to talk to all the other animals in their language and make them happy. But it seems the king every day kills a deer for his royal household, and it came to a day when the pregnant deer was to be slaughtered. Then this golden deer, the king deer, he went and put his head at the stake and said, you kill me. Not that he said he wanted to get killed rather than the pregnant deer. So this was reported to the king, and the king was thinking, what a disgrace, and then it was so bad, he made it a deer sanctuary. So nobody is to kill deer in that place. So that was years ago when the Bodhisattva was born as a golden deer. And now the Buddha comes back to the same deer path that is still the sanctuary for deer. That is called Migadaya. So that's a little story. Now I will begin the Dhammacakkapavatthana sutta. It is the first sermon after Buddhahood. It's a very important sermon. The Buddha addressed the 5 ascetics. I think you know them. Kondanya, Vappa, Bhaddiya, Mahanama, Ascetics. So the Buddha addressed the 5 ascetics. These 2 extremes must be avoided, namely the attachment to sensual pleasures and the practice of self-mortification, giving pain and suffering to the body. So these are 2 extremes to give up. Having given up these extremes and following the middle path, the eye of wisdom dawned. The Eightfold Path the Buddha discovered. It ended all defilements of the mind. By seeing the absolute truth, by personal experience, the Buddha proclaimed the Eightfold Path, that is one of the 4 Noble Truths. So, these 4 Noble Truths are what the Buddha proclaimed to the world after he became Buddha. They are Noble Truths because they are universal truths applicable to all living beings of the past, present, and future. So, these 4 Noble Truths are suffering, the first Noble Truth, the cause of suffering, the second Noble Truth, the ending of suffering, third Noble Truth, and the Eightfold Path of practice for the ending of suffering, which is the 4th Noble Truth. So the Buddha has given a very concise formula, the 4 Noble Truths. And that also, the Buddha first saw the truth of suffering as a hypothesis. Then he applied it to all living beings in the universe using his clairvoyant vision. It was the experiment that he did and found out that it is a universal truth. There is nobody who ever escaped death. So, and then the Buddha came to the inference. It was a scientific investigation for all living beings. Birth is suffering, old age is suffering. That I can tell you from experience of 92 years. Sickness is suffering, death is suffering. Nobody escapes death. Associating the unloved is suffering. Separation from the loved ones is suffering. Not getting what one desires is suffering. In short, the 5 aggregates of grasping is suffering. That is, grasping of 5 aggregates, I think you may be knowing, Rupa, Vedana, Sannyasa, Sankara, Vijnana. Grasping for material things, grasping and craving for good feelings, craving for good perceptions through the 6 senses, good things to see, good things to hear, good things to smell, good things to taste, and good things for bodily touch, and good things to think about. So these are the cravings that we all have as lay people. As unenlightened people, they have this craving. But when you are enlightened, you give up this craving. And also craving for imagination through memory of the past, then expecting future happiness. So you crave for future happiness. We are all suffering. And then craving for rebirth. And I'm thinking that this birth we can't get anything. Maybe next birth we can become sothapanna. And next birth I will have enough money and good things, so I must do lot of select and craving for a good rebirth. That is called sakkaya ditthya, sattva ditti. So there is craving for good things, craving for enjoying sensual pleasure. Then there is craving, the cause of suffering. There are 3 kinds of craving, such as sensual pleasure and craving for eternal happiness in the future, which is a wrong view. That is sotha ditti. And 3, craving for death as the ending of suffering, which is also a wrong view. So people have this craving in different ways, not only for sensual pleasure. They crave for eternal happiness also. And they crave for death as the ending of all the pain and suffering. Then the Buddha says, monks, what is the ending of suffering? It is giving up craving without a remainder. Giving up craving totally, never to arise again. Liberation from all craving. having no more wish or craving of any sort. That is Nibbana. That is what the Arahant gets. He has no more craving. Monks, what is the way for the ending of suffering? It is the Noble Eightfold Path, such as right view, right thinking, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, mindfulness, and right concentration. That is vipassana. Monks, these four noble truths were never known to the world before. The eye of wisdom arose, scientific knowledge arose, visibility and light arose, absolute reality of existence arose with deep understanding. Therefore, suffering must be fully comprehended. The cause of suffering must be given up, abandoned. Nibbana must be realized by one's own wisdom and intuition through meditative investigating, and the way of the Noble Eightfold Path must be practiced in daily living. So these four noble truths have four different ways of practice. Suffering must be understood. Cause of suffering must be craving, must be given up. Nibbana, or the ending of suffering, must be understood by your own intuition. And the Eightfold Path, the fourth, must be practiced. So different ways how it applies to people. Monks, each of these four noble truths were investigated in three ways before they were declared as true. Until such, and after clearly understanding only, it was proclaimed to the world of divine, of Dhamma, and of virtual Brahmins and recluses, and to the entire world of human beings. Then only the Buddhahood was proclaimed. After retrospective knowledge of the mental image obtained in concentration, the Buddha actually understood the entire nature of the world. Retrospecting the past, retrospecting the fruition, Dhammacakkapavatthana, all this the Buddha was understanding. It came as knowledge after he became Buddha. Then retrospecting the abandoned defilements, retrospecting the still remaining defilements, and then retrospecting Nibbana's object. The Buddha realized it, and then he again and again went through his entire realization in retrospect. It is the purity of reflection that gave rise to a paean of joy. Wisdom dawned, the mind is liberated in Buddhahood. This is the last birth. There never will be any more birth. So the Buddha was so surprised when he understood his what his own realization was. The 5 ascetics were overjoyed to hear all this, and at that moment, Kondanda, the elder of the 5 ascetics, attained sothapanna, the first sainthood. Whatever arises as the nature to pass away. And he understood this nature. Whatever arises as the nature to pass away, anicca. When he understood this anicca as a universal truth, that is the first sainthood that he understood. He saw impermanence. He saw it as a universal truth. When the Buddha was thinking of this, the terrestrial devas, Ummadeva, applauded loud. The Buddha has proclaimed the Dhamma and set the wheel of Dhamma rolling, Dhammacakkapavatthana, at Nigadaya in Benares, Sipatana, which is supreme, never heard before by any recluse or Brahmin or God or Mara or Brahma of the universe. This is what the Buddha realized is something the world has never known. But it's the Four Noble Truths. The sound was so loud that it was heard by the divine world, Dhammacakkapavatthana above. And they too repeated likewise so loud that the next divine world above heard the message. Parvati the gods reverberated the same message that was heard by the divine world. Then all these divine worlds, such as Nimanarati, Yama, Paranimita, Vasavati, then all the Brahma worlds, Brahma Parisajya, Brahma Purohita, Mahabrahma. Above, they all heard the same message and they repeated the same message. Paritab, the same message. The Buddha in Benares, Sipatana, Nigadaya, preached the supreme Dhammacakkapavatthana, never before preached by any recluse or Brahmin or divine being or Mara or Brahma or any other in this universe. In a second, all these Brahma words, Parita Subha, Apamana Subha, Subhakinnaka, Vehappala, Aviha, Atappa, Sudasa, Sudasi, Akanita, Brahma world is the highest Brahma world. They all started repeating the same message. The Buddha in Benares, Sipatana, Nigadaya preached the supreme Dhammacakkapavatthana, never before preached by any recluse or Brahmin, or divine being or Mara, or Brahma or anyone else in this universe. In a second, in a moment, the sound of this message was heard all over, reaching the highest Brahma world, Akanittaka, and the sound rose up in space, and 10,000 world systems quaked and vibrated and shook. And infinite light of radiance was seen all over, surpassing the radiance emitted by all the divine beings. Then the Buddha uttered a paean of joy. Kondanya has realized the Dhamma and become the first sage. So Kondanya was called Anya Kondanya, the knowing Kondanya. So that is the text, but it's a very short text. According to the Buddha, it seems, he started this Dhammacakkapavatthana sermon at 6 in the evening when the sun went down and the moon came up on the full moon day of asawa, that's July. And then he spoke to the 5 ascetics till dawn, the whole night through, about this Dhammacakkapavatthana sutta. And that ended only in the morning at 6 o'clock when the sun rose and the moon disappeared. And so it was such a long session. At the end of it, Kondanya understood and became a sothapanna. So the Buddha proclaimed this, but what we have got is this short text. But this contains the spirit of this sermon a little bit for us to understand. But the entire story, the entire 12 hours of preaching is lost. But you can imagine, listening to this, what a tremendous power it had on the entire universe. So they have put it very short in the Dhammacakkapavatthana Sutta, which is the first sermon of the Buddha. Okay, I don't know whether it is clearly understood, okay?
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Bhikkhuni. It was wonderful, most excellent. Thank you. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Really?
Yes,
So
very clear. Thank you. Maybe we have come to the end, Bhikkhuni. If anybody has questions, please send, but we have only a couple of minutes. Shall we do some metta bhavana, Bhikkhuni?
Yeah, I think that's very good for every day,
Okay.
because that is essential, because it has a social dimension. When we have metta manokarma, that is thinking metta, then it becomes metta vachi karma, speaking metta, then it becomes vachi metta kaya karma, which is action, bodily action. So metta is important for traversing the Eightfold Path. So metta is samma sankappa, samma vacha is metta in speech, samma kammanta is metta in action. So we have to practice metta in 3 ways. First by thinking, then by speech, and then by action. So now we practice in thinking. Uddhaṃ adutta tiriyanta asambhadaṃ avevaṃ asapathaṃ sabbe sattā bhavantu sukhitattā. Uddhang adocha tiriyan asambadang aveva asapatta sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitat Uddhang adocha tiriyan asambadang aveva asapatta sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitat. The English rendering will be above, below, and across the entire universe. May all living beings be well and happy, free from pain and suffering, free from anger and hatred, free from enmity. May they be all friendly and be happy in each other's company. May all living beings be well and happy. May all living beings be well and happy, regardless of whether they are human or non-human. The entire universe, whether they are your close ones, close relations, or whether they are outsiders, there is no distinction whatsoever. Metta is a universal in application. So may all living beings be well and happy, free from pain and suffering, free from anger and hatred, and free from enmity. May all living beings be well and happy. So I think our time is over, so we can share merit with the divine beings. And also, I take this time to thank Sohani and Ishan, who are always ready to help, and also